Tracy and Violet from Tea Time with Tracy and Violet. Come here, Violet. I want to see your mug too, you know. She's up here with me. We're up in the haunted attic. Come here for a sec. Hop up here. There she is. Yeah. And I'm going to do a little book chat with you. You got a friend in me, sister. Oh, yes. Anyways, I'm trying this with my little light, just so it's not so dreary. I'm just going to try not to look at it so I'm not seeing stars. But I have some tea up here with me. I'm using the same teapot as I used yesterday. I'll use them for a couple days and then switch them out. I have a few different teapots, but it's my Alice in Wonderland one. I love it. Love it. Although I have more than a few teapots, if I ever see a interesting looking pot, not just, I mean, plain Jane ones are good too. I have some of those, but I like funky looking ones. I would definitely snatch them up. But this is one of my favorites. One of my favorites. But I got another girl here with us today. Yes. And she is beautiful, beautiful. She reminds me of one of my aunts, honestly. Like this color and just the, I don't know, essence. Now, I don't want her to be all washed out. I might have to move you guys for a second just so it's not so. I don't know how to use lighting. I really don't, but there she is. Now, can you see the pale pink flowers? Yes. I'm just going to try to move that lamp because I feel like it's all washed out. If it's back further, maybe? Ah, God. I don't know. Is that too far away? How does that look? I might stick with this. I mean, it's on over there, but it must cast a little bit of light this way. But at least it's not blaring in our face. So there. Now you can see her. And you can notice on her hand on her hip, there's gold running down here. And she even has a little shoulder pad because she's styling and profiling. And she doesn't have any gold on the back side of her elbow, but she has some right on the pointy part there. And she does have gold up at the top, and she is completely circular or smooth. There's no rivets or anything up around the top, but you can see down like where her hips would be. They're kind of ribboned or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the correct terminology, but she has a little gold down on her slipper, and then on her skirt or her pedestal are those pretty flowers. And she is kind of ribboned or riblets or whatever around here with gold as well. So it's beautiful. She's beautiful. This is bone china, Queen Anne, made in England, product of Ridgeway Potteries Limited. And then there's a little number on it. So yes, she doesn't have any flowers or anything on the inside. You know, you've seen some of my cups. If you take a drink, you can see it, but that's okay. Some cups just don't need to do that. And she's one of them. She doesn't need to do that. So I'm just having regular old King Cole tea today. I love it. And I don't know if it's steeped enough. Oh yeah. It's hot, hot, hot. I don't know if you've seen that, but I like a good hot tea. And it's actually kind of cool out today. I say that. It's still summertime. It's not cold, like Canadian cold, but it's cooler today than it has been in days. All right? I don't know what it is right this second, but the high of 21 today and low of 11. So I was debating on whether to do this little chat outside or up in the attic, and up in the attic won. So that's what we're doing. I also have my beautiful little creamer. She's fabulous. If you remember one of my past book chats, I have a teapot with this design. She goes with that teapot. I don't have a teaspoon, but I will just let it I just want a little bit. I'll let that do its thing. So I'm going to talk about Mr. Masters today. I've read this, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And I just quickly briefed through it. I remember it. I do remember it. And this is the first T.L. Swan book of hers I read. There's 3 in the series, and I actually have the other 2 right over there. I have most of my books up in the attic now. Well, and some in my room. But there's 2 other books that go in this series, which I haven't read yet. Mr. Spence and Mr. Garcia. So I will get around to reading those. But Mr. Masters. Okay. First book of T.L. Swans, like I said. Let me have a whiff off of this. I need this. It's like 11:30 in the morning. I had a coffee early this morning, but I need my lunchtime kind of fix. This book is, I don't know what category. This is not really a dark romance, no. This is kind of a funny romance, but it's an adult book. It is not a young adult. Like, there's steamy scenes in this. But I'll give you the gist of the story, okay? So, the main man, this guy right here, Mr. Masters, Mr. Julian Masters, he is a court judge. Like, he's a high up there kind of judge. You know, a judge, like a courtroom judge. All right? He's a widow. And he has 2 beautiful children. Willow, who is 16, and Sam, who is, I forget how old Sam is. He's little, like 5 or 6 or 7. I forget. He's just little. Like, think of Maze and somebody a little older than Mally, you know. But, yeah. So he's a widow, and he's on the hunt for a nanny. Okay? He's from Britain. I forget if it's right in London or I forget. I don't know if it says, but I forget. And he's very, very, very wealthy. So there's that. There's that. Now, he has been on the hunt for nannies. His wife passed away a couple of years ago. And he's been hiring nannies. He's been hiring nannies even when his wife was here because she was sick and things. But since she's been gone, he's had to rely on nannies. And within the past 2 years, I think he went through 9 nannies because they just didn't work out. Violet, what are you doing? What are you doing? They just didn't work out. Imagine a giant mansion of a estate. 2 lonely children because their father is a judge and can't really relate to them. And one is 16 and one is little. The 16-year-old has a chip on her shoulder, but who wouldn't if you lost a parent at a young age and didn't have another supportive parent on the outside kind of thing. So, yeah, he has a rough go with some nannies. So this is how Bree comes into the picture. All right? I'll get more into the scenario in a minute. So Bree, or Brielle, is the main woman in this story. She's just young. She's just like in her early 20s, I believe. Like very early 20s, I believe. Now she is, I believe, an architect. I'm sorry, it's been a little while, but she's a well-educated young woman. But she wanted to have a change. She lives in Australia. And her and her friend Emerson decide to get jobs in the UK. So Bree applied to be a nanny. So she didn't technically lie on her application, but she, I guess, gussied it up to get this job. And she went through an agency. So this Mr. Masters would hire nannies through different agencies. And she was selected all the way from Australia. So her friend Emerson got a job doing something, not nanny, but something else. And she got a job to be a nanny. So they roll up in this airport in the UK. And Bree knows she's going to be working for a widow. She knows there is 2 children and knows, that sort of detail. The thing is, she thought Julian Masters was a woman, not a man. All right? And he's not only a man, he's a very attractive, dominant, suave-looking fella. He's also an older guy. There's an age gap in this. I forget exactly how long, but he's at least 40. Something like that. This is what I'm thinking. So she's, say, 23 and he's like 40 or something like that. In that ballpark. So she's like, oh. They go into the airport and there's this beautiful man holding this sign with her name on it. So she goes up to him and she's thinking, oh, well, maybe this is just somebody to pick me up. And he introduces himself as Julian Masters. And Emerson, her friend, is like, oh, lucky you kind of thing. You'll be okay. Like, she takes her aside because Bree's a little shook by this because she wasn't mentally prepared for this. Anyway, she goes with the flow and she eventually gets to the manor. Like, he brings her back to the manor. And yeah, she sees it's a giant place, like estate. This isn't just a house, it's like an estate sort of thing. And he introduces her to the children, and the little boy is sweet as pie, and the little girl, speaking from experience in teenagers, not only my own but other ones I've had in my home, they have chips on their shoulder, and she is a nasty little brat. But again, she's just young. They're just little. Kids do this. This is what they do. They go through phases. But I think this is the little one that probably scared off all the nannies they have had before. So Bree is there, with a smile on her face and doesn't let her fizz her too much. But Bree has never been a nanny before. Like, she's never had experience with this before. Like, she's not a professional nanny. And anyway, she meets the children. And then he shows her where she'll be staying. Like, she's going to be staying there. And it's like a little one wing of the house kind of thing. Like one room down on the far end of the house or something. And she gets settled. So, I think for some reason they had a picture of her on the fridge. I can't remember if one of the kids took her picture or something. Anyways, one night she has to get up in the middle of the night to go get something. And she spies him looking at her picture that's on the refrigerator. And Violet, for goodness sakes. Somebody might be coming upstairs. Or maybe it's a ghost. I don't know. So imagine, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're peeking around, not trying to be sneaky, but you had to go get something, and you see this beautiful man. Big Violet, for goodness sakes. It's just Mally. Yeah, she's my guard dog. She just, a strange noise. She's gonna guard me, alert me. Anyway, she peeks around the corner because she hears somebody. It's him staring at her picture on the refrigerator. And she already has these little butterflies in her stomach. Like, she's intimidated by him because he's not the most friendly guy. He's not all joy or jokey or warm and comforting at all. He's not mean, but he's stern. He's cold. He's robotic, sort of thing. But she sees him take that picture off the refrigerator and go to his room. So she's like, oh my goodness. What's he going to do with that picture? Oh, Mr. Masters. So she puts that in her back pocket to remember that. And there's tension between these two because the internal conversation he has with himself in his mind, he thinks she's very beautiful and young and doesn't know if this is going to work out because he's having these kind of feelings towards her, even though he is certainly not portraying this on the outside at all. And she seems very nervous around him. So he's like, oh, I don't know if she's going to work out. But he's quick to dismiss Nanny. So you think, oh, well, is she not going to work out? And the story's going to go sideways and go somewhere else? I have no idea. One morning, I'm jumping from bits to bits, but, well, the first night she stayed there. That was the night, I think, that he took that picture and back to his bedroom. And, but the next morning, he went to work, and she was supposed to get up and get these kids off to school, like drive them to school. There's not school buses. I didn't realize, is there not school buses everywhere? We have school buses here, but maybe not everywhere. But she would have to drive these kids to school. Anyways, they sleep in because she wasn't aware of this. Like she's jet lagged and she, missed the time, and they weren't late for school, but he calls in the morning when she's up. She just didn't know what the schedule was. And he's like, oh, the kids are having breakfast. Are they okay? And she's like, actually, they're still in bed, but she didn't tell him that. Oh, yes, they're fine. We're going to be heading out soon. And she hangs up the phone and rushes around to try to get these kids out of bed. And it's the first night, so she doesn't know them, and they don't know her. The little boy was fine, but the girl's giving her attitude because what teenager isn't a bear in the morning? And anyways, long story short, he finds out about this mishap, and that was like strike one. Okay, well, all right, well, let's try this again, but you're on thin ice kind of thing. Another night, she's very curious about him. Like, she has like a kind of a crush on him, but she's intimidated because he is very cold and stern and stiff, like, and older. And there's a lot of tension between these two. He's an extreme professional. She is a well-educated young woman, but she's doing this adventure with her friend, coming to a new country, working, and now she finds herself in this predicament. And there's a lot of sexual tension in this book. I have to say, I really liked this book. I did. I really liked it. Now, that's not really saying a whole lot about the story, but the tension in this book sizzles, and she ends up growing really close with these children. Really close. And this is a book I actually laughed out loud at some of the things, and I felt complete embarrassment at different parts. Like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. Or, oh, this girl's crazy, but in a good, funny way. It's almost like a romantic comedy kind of thing, but with a twist of sexual role play and things, because there is role playing sexual scenes in this book. All right. These two eventually come together, but it's still not all out, oh, we're a couple or anything. No, they dance around it in secret. They do little text messages back and forth, like when they are referring to each other's rendezvous. She is Bree and he is Julian. When they're in their professional relationship, and I mean professional in regards to the kids, the house, when they're together in front of people, he's Mr. Masters and she's Brielle, Miss Brielle. There's a lot of, well, like this, it's a fairly long book. I mean, it's not ridiculous, but it's 438 pages. This goes through a few months of this, and they all slowly get closer and closer together. Now, there's scenes in this. She ends up doing things other nannies never did, and I'm not talking sexual relationship things. She does things with these kids and this family, and the way she handles things, again, she's not a professional nanny. She does handles different things, and to try to connect with Willow, like the 16-year-old, it's a big thing. So once a fairly positive relationship is established, it opens up a whole another kettle of fish, because these children are still grieving from their mother, losing their mother, and he doesn't know how to handle that because he's never really handled his own emotions about this. So there's a lot of elements to the story. There's that sexual tension. There's the actual intimacy that is in this book. The relationship between her and the kids, and extended people. He does have two friends, good friends, that make appearances in this book, which I believe those two books that I showed you at the beginning are about. But really, he doesn't have a big circle of people. He has a lot of colleagues because he's a judge, but he's, whatever. So this book isn't so much of a dark romance. It's more of it was a nice, easy to read book for me. Like, I wasn't on the edge of my seat because there's danger or death or blood or gore or anything like that. There's no traumatic triggers or anything like that, except for perhaps grieving from the loss of a spouse or something. Just hold on a second. I got to get something from her. Oh, I had to make room on my phone again too. So anyways, there's not a whole lot I want to say about this book. I recommend it. I think it's a good good story that doesn't get you all twisted up in knots, but it's easy to follow with adult content and not ridiculous adult content. I hear my phone downstairs ringing. But so basically, older rich white guy. And anyways, older rich attractive white man judge, a young adult looking for an adventure, not professional in the nanny profession. They have different techniques of rearing children. And of course, he's the father, so he has the say-so. However, when she's the nanny, she does different unconventional activities with them, which they love because they've never had the opportunity to do this. Like, these are the kind of kids that's never had pop or soda. And I know that's not good for you, but every child I know has at least tasted it. They had never tasted it. I think that's what it was, or McDonald's or something like that. So she does things a little different than him, but they still get a chance to kind of grow together. But when there's serious things, she calls him out on it, and there is some rifts formed. Okay, but all in all, I would recommend this, and I'm hoping the other two books are like that. There's drama in it, but there's humor in it too. Like, I don't remember the last book I've read that, well, there's a couple I've read with a couple of things, made me chuckle, but I actually laughed a little bit from some scenarios in here because Brie is hilarious in regards to some of the things she does, and embarrassing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like watching a movie and there's a really embarrassing part and you don't want to watch it because it's embarrassing, but you can't turn away because it's a tragic thing that you just can't turn away from. Or not tragic, but embarrassing thing. Yeah. This. So anyways, that's all I'll say about this. I would recommend it. And if you're in for a good read, this took me, I don't know how long it took me to read. Not that long, but I just plucked away at it. Those other two are bigger than this one, so they'll probably take me a couple of days, 2 or 3 days to read. But yeah, I'm glad. I actually read this on Kindle Unlimited and then ordered the book because I liked it. I didn't even read this one in paperback. And so if you do have Kindle Unlimited, my favorite is paperback. It really is. Really is. I know it's more expensive than Kindle Unlimited, but if it's a book I really like, I really want to get it. And somebody's turning into my house. Oh. Just hold on a second. Oh gosh, it's hard getting an ending on this video, I'm telling you. Anyways, yes, I recommend. It's a good one. Won't get you all twisted up in knots, but it's enjoyable. It really is. It's an enjoyable read, and I look forward to the other two, Mr. Spencer and Mr. Garcia. And those are the two men that are his boyhood, like they grew up together, friends for life kind of thing. And those two are probably multimillionaires as well, like big successful people. So, you know, those kind of stories. Yeah. Oh, I'm out of breath. We're on the 3rd floor, so, you know. But, yeah. Anyways, I want to say peace, love, and happiness today and every single day. Let me have a swig of this. Oh, gosh. Please like, share, and subscribe if you so choose. But if not, that's okay too. I still love you. I still want all the happiness in the world for each and every one of you here. Get up here. Come on. Come on. I do. We really, really honest and truly do. Yes, we do. And just a note, I always try to incorporate that in my video, and I always forget. But I hope that you enjoy reading. And don't ever feel ashamed about what you read, how fast or slow you read, whatever genre you want to read. Be proud of yourself and don't be embarrassed, because we're open to opinions and comments, just not disrespect or judgment. No, this is a safe space for you and for me and everybody that wants to read or wants to just listen to books. Book talk. That's good too. That's good too. So, dog breath. How's my tea breath? Anyways, well, with that, I'm going to say have a good night or have a good morning, and I might see you tomorrow. Bye. Bloop.